Sam from Barnhanger Studios, and this is, let's call it a video diary really, of me recording the Alex Turner song Stuck on the Puzzle. So as it stands right now, I've recorded nothing. There is not a single thing that I've put, through the console and, had a look at. So when you're recording a song, any song, even if it's your own song, the thing you need is a reference. And if you're not playing the whole band together and you're not capturing the performance in isolation, you need a reference for you to be able to listen to when you're playing the drums, so you can keep in time with that. And it's really important to layer up. So the reference can be anything. The reference can be a demo that you recorded in like a really scratchy recording, but it's like a performance that you like and the timings are okay. So if that's the case, then the drummer can listen to that demo in their headphones when they're recording the thing properly. And then we can lay over, the rest of the rhythm tracks with the bass and the guitars, and then do guitar overdubs, and then finally do the vocals. That's a very typical way of doing it. If you've got multiple people in, we could have the band, the drum set up in the live room, and have the guitars and bass running through in the control room, which is kind of a very typical way of getting that performance to sound good. But as far as this song's concerned, it's just me. So I'm engineering it, I'm going to play all the instruments and everything. So that can get a bit complicated. So what I need to do is I need to strip the song back to its core elements, which is, what every song is stripped back to, which is melody and rhythm and chords. And then obviously lyrics, but lyrics is a separate thing. But those three elements, are the pillars. So the actual song, the actual acoustic guitar part is the little arpeggios that are like... which is what I will play when I do the acoustic guitar overdubs. That's what I'll be playing. But I'm thinking I've got to play when I'm drumming, that is going to be easiest for me to pick out the rhythm. And that is just strumming chords. So if I go... So then I can be going boom, 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 and then the chorus. So I'm not recording what's going to sound best. I'm recording what's easiest for me to overdub over, and that's very important as well. So I'm thinking what do I want to be able to hear? And if I was doing arpeggios, it would become difficult for me to pick out exactly when those chord changes and beat changes are. But with just strumming chords, it becomes a million times easier. And once I've done the drums, then the bass is the next obvious one to pick, because then I can get the rhythm tracks down. I can then start experimenting with the keyboard sounds and get that quite close, because the keyboard's probably one of the biggest parts of the whole song. And then we can start thinking about guitar overdubs and get that acoustic guitar sound properly with the arpeggios, and then get those chiming electric guitar sounds. And once all of that sounds, really good, I'll then think about doing the vocals. Of course, I'm going to be recording a guide vocal as well. So with the chords, it's like, I'm not the kind of fool who's gonna sit and sing to you. No, it's a no. I'm not the kind of fool who's gonna sit and sing to you about the stars, girl. So, I get that recorded now, and then next you'll see me in this little diary as I'll probably be setting up a drum kit and, getting really annoyed because it's taking me forever. Cheers. Okay, so now we're in, the drum recording stage, if you like. So all the mics have been set up, as you'd seen with the little time lapses before. So I'm not miking up these two toms because they're not being played in the entire song. So there's absolutely no point. That almost all the song is kick, snare, then the hi-hat in the chorus, and then that little fill, which is why we need that tom there. The most challenging thing, if you're in here on your own and if you're engineering yourself, is gain staging between the control room and the live room, because obviously you'd have to do a recording, then you'd have to mix the gains and then make sure the levels are right. But what we have at Barnhanger Studios is this iPad. Which is connected to my console. So I can control all the preamp gain, all the compression, all the channel shifts through this iPad, and even the faders I can control with my finger. And then what that lets me do is I can play each individual drum part and I make sure that the gain levels are set correctly. And then I can do my test recordings after that. So that's what I'm just going to do now. So quite literally, I have my headphones on, which should plug directly into my headphone mix. So as I'm just selecting my headphone out, making sure that I can hear all of the mics that we're recording. And then I'll go to the main mix, channel 1, which is the kick. Already it's coming up because the kick's very loud. And the preamp gain I can adjust like this. So when it comes to gain staging, minus 14, minus 12, that's sort of where you want to be for every event. It's just because it'll leave you really limited if you was recording it like minus 3. Because remember, we've got to get all those levels up in the mixing phase, then we've got to get them up again in the mastering phase. So low level recording is really good through digital preamps. There's no disadvantage to recording at a lower level. If it was an analog gear, you might want to drive your preamps and get a more colorized sound, but digital preamps are more prone to distortion quicker. So that's the sort of battle that we're dealing with, and we are going directly through the console through no preamps. So what also I can control through this iPad, again making this a lot easier, is I can control my Logic session through the Logic remote app. It's scanning. As you see there, that's my Logic session on my iPad. So I can arm these tracks for recording and check what the gain is on those, and then so I don't have to keep going back and forth, rushing around, making sure the click's right. I can do it all from here. Of course, if there was an engineer in the room, I wouldn't have to worry about any of this because they'd do that for me. They'd count me in. I'd be just, treated like the artist and not like the engineer, and I could just worry about playing. But as I'm in here my own, I have to use the iPad. So I'm just going to do a test recording. And this is going to give me a really good idea of where we are. So now we have those drum parts down. We have them all recorded in the DAW with no changes made just yet. We're not mixing it just yet. And now we're going to record the bass of the project. And once we've got these tracks down, the key overdubs and the guitar overdubs that we do, we can start getting a bit more, experimenting with, techniques and sounds and things. Because once we've got those rhythm tracks down, then everything else on top of it is sort of, we can go anywhere with it after that. So once we've got the bare bones of the track down, we can go anywhere. So the bass is my Ibanez bass, and I'm going to be recording this just directly into the console through a DI, and maybe reamp it, maybe not, because a DI bass sounds really good, particularly if you're going for a clean bass sound, which is what we're doing here. So the tone that I'm kind of going for is... that's the kind of tone we're going for, and it's kind of doing that dun 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 dun, kind of bopping around throughout the song. It's quite a nice bass line actually. I never really gave it credit until I learned it. So yeah, I'll show you back once we've got these rhythm tracks recorded and we start doing some guitar recording.